Hello and welcome to Library Salad. Today's episodes are pumpkins, and we've got Ooze, Choose, and Smell, brought to you by the Monroe Public Library in Pennsylvania. Hi, I'm Alice. Library Salad is taking a theme, mixing it together, and today and throughout the week has been a journey to find some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. At one point, it was going on a treasure hunt and having the clues taken away from me. And today, for the first time, we're going to have a grand finale, fingers crossed, on that one. Because we're talking about pumpkins is the fact that fall hasn't even officially started. People have been online trying to get some key pumpkin items, including candles. There's some stores that carry them. People are buying all 24 cents. Cents is an S-C-E-N-T-S. Anyway, but over here, instead of waiting online and trying to get something, I got this simple candle, and what I found was that it had this cute little piece on it. I just wanted to bump it up a little. What I did was, this is just a pin, like a brooch, some people call it, back in the day, and just some twine around it, and I think that was a nice addition to that. What I decided was, when I unwrapped it, this is the part that came around it, I kept it because I said sometimes the scents can be very, very strong, and if I needed for it to just sort of bring it down a little bit, I could put part of it on for a little while. Turns out by the next day it was fine, but I kept this in another room. Interesting thing was, the scent was so infused here that by putting it in another room, you could actually bring the scent to the other room, and it's like having two of the candles just in one. Sitting around is not as lovely, but you could put it behind something and still get the scent. So next up,
put your 2 cents in.
2 cents. Oh, the fun never stops in Library Salad. It just doesn't. But next up is the choose part of it, because we're talking pumpkin hand pies. A couple of months ago, we couldn't even get toilet paper. There was a shortage of it. What are we doing now? We're bowling with it. Simply a couple of rolls of toilet paper. This is just some felt. You can also use any kind of paper. Just make yourself some little Scotch tape donuts, and that'll go right on that. That is the oven heating up for another segment. Always doing something. So let's see, with this pumpkin, heavy pumpkin, how that will work as a bowling ball. And let's go sideways, and I think that worked very well. You can also use the traditional red cup. They also make them in orange. You can make a little ghost face. That's what that was actually supposed to be. And let's see. Makes good exercise too. All right, here we go. Second round. There go the solo cups. Now, true story. Wanted to be able to do a pumpkin hand pie. A pumpkin hand pie is simply taking dough, just the way you would make a pie, but cutting out little circles from the dough, putting the pumpkin in between, folding it over so you can eat it with your hands. That was all a good plan. Went to the first store, completely empty shelves of the pumpkin puree, just those regular cans that you get. You also see them in like a blueberry, but looking for the pumpkin, they don't have it. Go to another store, they don't have it. Third store actually has a sign, due to weather conditions, there is a shortage of this type of pumpkin that goes into the cans. I said, let me try one last place. So I went to a type of restaurant, give me a word. Supply, restaurant supply place, and this is what I found. This is the can of pumpkin that we're going to be using for those hand pies. I only need a half a cup. So luckily I've got a book from the library that shows everything pumpkin and hopefully I'll be able to use up at least some of this. Stay tuned. Make the pumpkin hand pies. What we're going to do is very simply with the crust, you can make a homemade crust. I've made that here, but you can also buy a pre-made crust. When you roll it out, the object is that they're asking for, I believe it's a 4.5 round cookie cutter. I've got smaller cookie cutters, so what I did was, this is a 4-inch round, and I simply have pre-cut it, but by simply placing it on the pastry and turning it, it actually did cut fairly well. It's not the exact same as a sharp cookie cutter, but what I did was I simply took a spoon and rounded it around. Once I got it to that shape, I gave it a little extra with the rolling pin just to give it that extra 4 inches. The inside is actually pre-baked. I've never actually had one, but decided to try a new recipe. This recipe is on the Facebook as a link that you came in with. So this gets a little bit pre-baked. At this point, just give it a little more flour up here. The top is going to have to come over. So we're simply going to give the top a little bit more rolling out, and then a little egg wash with milk. This is going to help to seal it. Just goes around the bottom. We then take a rounded tablespoon of the puree. The little white specks is actually a bit of cream cheese that goes in it. That's another ingredient that I haven't used inside of a hand pie before. That simply gets spread a little just on the bottom half, because you're going to simply round it over. And let's see, we're going to bring it around and then sealing it first with, I'm trying to get it in. It doesn't really matter if some of it comes out. It's common for that to do that. And there you go, like that. And then simply, this is going to be the finished product. You're going to bring it down with the fork and around. Again, this is going to seal it more. Then you're going to take the wash again. The wash is, in this case, is going to give it a more of a golden brown. And go all around. Then we're going to give it a couple of slits on here, so I have a little bit of steam escaping. I'm going to just give this a little cut off on there. And this is a mixture of turbinado sugar. Turbinado sugar is actually a coarser sugar, more of a golden brown. It has some pumpkin pie spice to it, so that even gives it a darker color. And this just gets sprinkled right over the top. Turbinado sugar actually comes in large packages. It's usually just used to sprinkle over pies and such, so that, I'm not sure why they sell it big, but I would now consider the turbinado sugar to be the pumpkin puree of sugars, large container. So what we're going to do is I'm going to finish up the rest of this and put it in the oven and see how it turns out. For about 2 minutes more than the recipe had stated, just to make sure that they were fully cooked. And now we've got, there you go. Let's take these out. And there they are. And we're just gonna let them cool. And then they will. I simply picked up a simple pumpkin wooden piece down the store. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna do the back in blues, the front more of a traditional orange and yellows and things like that. So it can actually be used on different sides. I've never worked with these before, so we're gonna see how it goes. I simply Googled blue pumpkin. I'm gonna sort of work off of that. And this is also the first time that I've tried the chalk paint. Everyone's been talking about the chalk paint. Everybody's on Facebook, everybody's using the chalk paint. So we'll see how it goes. So basically we're just gonna cover this all in white, and then the colors will come in. got this ready. And remember, one of the things that somebody also mentioned on Facebook is that not even cleaning the brushes in between, because it's not a really definitive line. It's sort of brushing and going over. So let's see how this goes. The white chalk paint went on exceptionally well. I would definitely use it again. Did a quick coat, just brushing up of the first coat of a lighter blue. Now it's going to be in the bottom and the top to give it more depth. Let's look back on where we are, and it's going to be another coat just going on with those sections to highlight it. I started doing the stem of it. I have a little bit of a gold metallic and some brown. That's going to take a couple of layers. That went on very light, so I'll let it dry completely before completing that. But you can add any colors that you want, from running a little green into that also. So I'm just going to finish this up. Then we're going to be making lines to define the sections, and I think we have a chance of having it turn out well. Okay, so the key, what I was saying, is to actually take the couple of colors and mix. So I've got a light blue, a dark blue, a little bit of brown, so that starting from the base over here, we're actually going to see, this is me filming by myself. It's not going well, but we'll try. Okay, and because the darker of the colors is going to be down here, and then sweeping up, but coming back so that it's more loose, because this is going to be going, we're going to go over and over it so that it's not a straight stroke. So this is a fast forward. This is what the final result looked like. I didn't want to take up a lot of your time because it wasn't really a painting show. I did not get to the back yet. This was when you see the rest of this show, you're going to understand why I didn't have time to get to it. But I'm going to save that for another time. Could be the grand finale. I haven't tested it yet. We're going to see how it goes. A link to this is on the Facebook, and you're going to want to read through it because there's a lot of special details to it. Because this is a very, for hydrogen peroxide, a higher volume, it's something that it's not for the kids to touch, and it does get very hot, so it's going to need to cool. So those are some little helpful hints, but make sure you read that. Of course, this seems to be the week that anything that I want to put into this is low in stock. It's things that you just can't get anymore. Hydrogen peroxide has been used for hand sanitizers, so very difficult to get. But this particular type at a beauty supply place that I got. All right, so what we're going to do is hydrogen peroxide. We've got a bowl in here. So the hydrogen peroxide is going to get, let's go high, get poured right into there. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of dishwashing liquid, any kind, and then a little food coloring. Choose any food coloring you want. They use yellow. I'm using yellow because the other colors I have were very low in actually what's left in the containers. And then, okay, we've got yeast, we've got some warm water, and then simply add that to it. This is going to get mixed very well for about 30 seconds. You can talk amongst yourselves. A little music might be nice. And then this is going to go in. What they say is that when you actually go to pour it in and stand back. I don't know. Okay, we're going to call that done. And let's see what happens. All right, I think that's good. I think that's good. That's everything I hoped for. Everything and more. Check that out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's library salad, because basically it's pumpkin everywhere. And see you next week. And as an add-on, we were wondering if it could come out more. Let's see what happens with this. That gave it a little extra something.